Can you hear me? Can you see me? Let's do welcome. I don't know how long I can keep on this mask, but I'm going to do the best I can. Let's do a song without words to warm up. So I'm going to teach it and we'll learn it. It goes like this. Try that. From the beginning. Second part. Just going to take this off because I think it might be hard for you to sing. This is a song of elevation. Put us in an elevated mood. Like most nigunim, the first part is pretty ordinary. But the second part, you have to kind of reach a little bit, both with your voice and with your spirit. So let's welcome the Sabbath by just opening our hearts and our voices. Shabbat Shalom. Welcome to everyone from near and from far who's joining us this Friday night to spend a little time together, welcoming the Sabbath, opening our hearts in prayer, and of course this very special night that we are going to install Rabbi Ezra Leventhal as our assistant rabbi. I want to invite you to turn to, I'll just say a word about this prayer book in case it's the first time you're praying from it. Generally, we'll pray from the right-facing side of the page in the Hebrew prayers, and almost always opposite those Hebrew is going to be transliteration. So if you kind of catch on to the melody, and you may have noticed that we like to repeat the melodies a few times through, go ahead and join us in any way you want, either with singing or closing your eyes or on blah or being part of it. So let's turn to page 636. Back of the book. And we're going to sing just the first couple lines from the very, very last paragraph in the Hebrew. We're going to sing Higalena. Higalena, we're going to say, reveal yourself. Ufros chavivi alai, and my beloved, spread over me at Sukkot Shalom, your tabernacle, your covering, your protection of peace. Higale, gale, gale, Ufros, chavivi welcome again, one and all. We are going to formally welcome the Sabbath by lighting our Shabbat candles. I'm just going to invite Shelby to come forward. On page 120, we need to go back in our prayer book to page 120 to light our Shabbat candles. Amen. Turning to page 142, we're going to sing two kind of Sabbath hymns. The first one is called Shalom Aleichem, which means peace unto you. It's a song that imagines that at this moment we are able to greet the angels of the Sabbath, the special Sabbath angels. In the Jewish tradition, angels are just kind of spiritual properties. They're not necessarily people with wings or anything else, but they're spiritual properties. And every Every spiritual property or quality in the world has what we call an angel. So we're welcoming the angels of the Sabbath at this moment, as the Sabbath enters the world. Our first verse, we sing Shalom Aleichem, we welcome you. The second verse, Boachem L'Shalom, we welcome you in peace. The third verse, Barchuni L'Shalom, bless me with peace, bless us with peace. And the fourth, Tzedchem L'Shalom, go out and take the Sabbath peace and spread it around the world. Shalom in our songs of welcome, go back to page 138. We welcome the Sabbath. We sing this, the chorus, L'chadodi likrat kala, come, my beloved, my friend. Let us go out and greet the presence of the face of the Sabbath as a bride and as a queen. So we'll sing verses 1 and 2, and then on page 139, verse 9. And the custom is to rise for this last verse and to face towards the door. And barring the eventuality that somebody wearing a grotesque mask would appear in that door when we face that way, we'll just kind of imagine that the Sabbath bride, the Sabbath presence is entering our room when we sing these words, Bo'i Kala, the nice bride. So, first line. Boi beshalom, ateret be'ala, am besimcha, uv'zolam, v'chamune, am segula, boi chala, boi chala, we remain standing and turn to page 146 for the formal call to prayer. Baruch hu et Adonai hamevorach. Baruch Adonai hamevorach leolam vaed. You may be seated. We'll continue reading in the English on page 148, this blessing about God who knows the time for everything. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, on page 148. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alerts the times and changes the seasons, and arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming the day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tzvaot is your name. Ever-living God, may you reign continually over to eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings all. Baruch atah Adonai ha'ma'ariv ha'ravim. And on the next page, 150. Turn the page, take a moment to concentrate, and then proclaim the statement of God's unity. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. On page 154, we'll chant these words from the book of Deuteronomy together in the Hebrew, and then we'll read them together in the English. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך והיו levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shivtecha b'veitecha uvlechtecha v'derech uvshachbecha uvkumecha ukshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot b'neinecha וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשערי. Together you shall love Adonai your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. Take to heart these instructions with which I charge you this day. Impress them upon your children. Recite them when you stay at home and when you are away, when you lie down and when you get up. Bind them as a sign on your hand, and let them be a symbol on your front. Inscribe them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. Thus you shall remember to observe all my commandments and to be holy to your God. I am Adonai your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I am Adonai your God. Adonai Elohechem Emet. Turning to page 158, this song of, these are the words that were sung at the sea when the people of Israel first experienced miraculous deliverance. We are actually coming to the very end of the holiday of Purim today, which was celebrated today. Another one of those times of miraculous deliverance, even though there were no miracles, and even God doesn't appear in the story, but a deliverance nevertheless. So we'll sing Mi Chamocha tonight to a possibly recognizable tune. Mi Chamocha Ba'elim Adonai, Mi Kamocha Nedar B'Kodesh, Nora Tehilot, Nora Tehilot, Nora Tehilot, Osefele, Malachutecha Rahu Banecha, Bokei Hayam Lifnei Moshe uMiriam. Ze'eli, Ze'eli, Ze'eli anu ve'yamru, Adonai imaloch, Adonai imaloch, Adonai imaloch, le'olam ba'ed. And on page 160, we'll sing, beginning in the English at the top of page 161, and then we'll scoot over to the Hebrew on page 160, these words. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. And this is really in two parts, so I invite you, if you feel you can, whenever it's time, to just peel off and fill the room with your beautiful praying words. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storm. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storm. Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Let there be love, Adonai Eloheinu, Hashkivenu leShalom, Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu, Another verse from actually this week's Torah portion, Ki Tisa, I believe, but maybe not. We sing at the top of the page, the people of Israel shall keep the Sabbath, observing Shabbat in every generation as a covenant for all time. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, lasot et ha-Shabbat, לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת, דורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת, לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני, עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת, לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת, לדורותם ברית עולם. On page 164, in just a moment, I'll invite us to rise for the standing prayer. This is a central part of the service, but tonight we're going to do it privately. We'll just begin together with these words on page 164, these words from the Psalms. Actually, asking for the ability to pray, asking God to open our lips that we may speak the words of prayer. So after we sing those words, we'll fall into the silence. I invite you to either use the words that are in the prayer book or just to enjoy the silence, to enjoy the experience of standing in the presence of God, standing in the presence of holiness, and whatever prayers come up in the mind or in the heart, try to shape them into the language of prayer. And when you have finished your prayer, I invite you to take your seat. So we rise on page 164. Ananana sfatai tiftach, ananana ufi akid teilatecha, ananana sfatai tiftach, ananana ufi akid tehilatecha. Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi akid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. If you're still praying, go ahead. I'm on page 180. The second line, the second prayer from the bottom. Yehiyu leratzoni merfi, may the words I speak, but also the meditations of my heart, the Hir Hurei Lev, the rustlings of the heart that haven't quite found themselves into words, may these all be acceptable as prayer before you. Yehiyu leratzon imrefi, v'hegyan lebi lefanecha, Adonai tzuri, Adonai tzuri, begoali, yehiyu leratzon, imrefi, v'hegyan lebi lefanecha, Adonai tzuri, Adonai tzuri, begoali. And then the prayer below it, every part of the Hebrew service ends with these lines, a prayer for peace. And the rabbis say that peace is the seal of all the blessings. You can have everything in the world, but if there isn't peace, it's not enough. And we're living in a time where there's a lot of war in the world. And there's also pause in the war in the world. And I suppose our prayer tonight was that that pause might continue. And that from all the fighting and all the loss and all the dying and all the killing, the people of the world will find their way towards a peace and enduring peace. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Oh, say shalom bimroma. Yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imru Amen. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Oh, say shalom bimroma. Oh, yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imru. Amen. So tonight, I'm very, very pleased to have with us a very special guest, Rabbi Philip Baisley, who is the rabbi of a temple, Anshe Emeth Memorial Temple in New Brunswick, New Jersey. Rabbi Ezra invited Rabbi Baisley to be here tonight to speak some words on this occasion as one of his beloved mentors. Rabbi Baisley was ordained by the Hebrew Union College in 2012 and then became the senior rabbi of Anshe Emeth in 2018. He is a member of the core leadership team of the Religious Action Center in New Jersey, and a core pillar of his work in the rabbinate is for Tikkun Olam, including efforts to pass solitary confinement reform, the Fair Chance in Housing Act, and working with refugee resettlement. A native of Brooklyn, I'm happy to invite you up to say a few words today.
I want to begin with some words of gratitude. I want to thank Rabbi Tom, Rabbi Dan, your synagogue leadership, President Charlotte, and most importantly, Rabbi Ezra, for the invitation to speak here tonight at your congregation and to be able to install him. I must say I have loved every moment of being a Jew in the pew tonight. The music was lovely and just hit the spot in a wonderful way that I think speaks to this moment. You know, when Rabbi Ezra reached out to look at the calendar and find some days to come, I should not have been surprised at all that we landed on the Shabbat of Purim. The more I reflected on it, the more it made sense to me. You have a very special rabbi in your midst. Purim is a time of joy and laughter and engagement. Rabbi Leventhal, Rabbi Ezra, I had Leventhal in my comments here. I know, in New Jersey it's slightly different, but hence why I'm feeling slightly overdressed right now. I would say Rabbi Ezra is the epitome of those three things: joy, laughter, and engagement. Very rarely, while Ezra was with us in New Brunswick, did I not see a beaming, glowing smile coming from him. And almost everything that he did in such an infectious way, too. His joy infected every aspect of what he did and drew people into him. I'm not surprised at all that this cute girl over here, what's her name? Sophie. I am so not surprised at all that Sophie broke into this round of applause when Rabbi Tom earlier said we get to install Ezra tonight. The kids of our synagogue still talk about the time that Rabbi Ezra came to talk about Noah's Ark dressed in a giant dove onesie. And the kids of the religious school are still challenging each other as to who can sing Modeh Ani the fastest 2 years after Ezra left the synagogue. I gotta say, whenever I needed to be picked up at the synagogue, I would make sure I was somewhere near the amphitheater when Ezra was leading that, because the giggles that emanated out of that room, you could feel the divine presence in there with them. And they would just be screaming for more and more and faster and faster. I thought I was going to have to call an ambulance for Ezra at one point in time, because he just can't say no to kids. He taught all of those children what it means to have joy in being Jewish. There's also this little whimsical nature of Ezra as well that the congregation loved, particularly when it came to sermons too. We never will forget Ezra's first sermon, which began with, "I have a confession to make. I need to come out. I am a cat person." The second that sentence was uttered, I knew Ezra was going to fit in just fine here. I still disagree with him about the cats, but that's a sermon for another day. With that same joy of Purim, Ezra could engage and bring in anybody. When Rabbi Ezra walked up to the lectern to give a sermon, as I'm sure you all knew, you were going to have a good time. You were going to be engaged in that sermon. You were going to laugh here or there, but you also knew that you would be asked at some point to think deeply about something of great substance and deep thought. That you would have to pause and think about something and sit with it for a while. That's also why I think it's perfect that we install Ezra on the weekend of Purim, because when you look at the story of Esther, it's somewhat different than the joyful things we teach in religious school. Somehow we leave out much of chapter 9 and 10, when we fought back. The story of Purim and Esther does make us wrestle with topics like anti-Semitism, genocide, misogyny, sexism, addiction, all from a Jewish point of view. The holiday is both playful, but also substantive. And that's your new rabbi. Playful, but also deeply substantive. Rabbi Ezra has deep and substantive thoughts about the world and how we deal with these issues that keep us up at night. He uses Judaism as a way of informing and guiding his decisions and choices, and he knows deeply that the meaning is not found in the suffering of the world, that there is no meaning in the suffering of the world, but rather in how we engage with that suffering. How we engage with it is what brings meaning to it. How we engage with trans issues, indigenous people issues, immigration issues. And he's not at all afraid to wrestle with that with all of you. He is wise beyond his years and has been a great teacher to the Jewish community and to myself as well. I am proud to call Rabbi Ezra not just a colleague, but a friend. We all know, friends, that we live in a harsh world that seems to constantly be getting harsher, more so than we care to realize and acknowledge. More so than any other commandment in our Torah are we told that we must care for the orphan, the widow, and the stranger, the three most vulnerable people in our society, because we were strangers. And at times like these, we're starting to feel like strangers again. But I don't need to tell this community, because you know firsthand white nationalism in your midst. But we know that we need to care for those that are vulnerable around us. Even when we feel vulnerable, we cannot hold back our care and concern. And we need to be proud of who we are as we do it. Ezra has that care and concern for others. And he pushes us not to stay hidden when we're called to action. He calls us not to be afraid when we need to speak up. The world is not a kind place to those that are different, to those that dissent. But the not-so-subtle secret as to why Rabbi Ezra is the rabbi the world needs right now more than ever is in his kindness. Despite everything that has happened to him, or the hate that we are facing in the world, or all the things that make us throw up our hands and just give up in despair, he still has his kindness, which out of all the qualities that impress me the most about him is the one that impresses me the most. He is the epitome of kindness and of warmth. Rabbi Ezra has never given up his kindness. Kindness is the key to how we will save this world and the people in it. Never relenting on our values, never quitting in our pursuit of justice, but always doing it in a kind way that brings us into others. He is my guide to how to meet a world which is harsh and unkind, just with radiant chesed and kindness that emanates from our tradition and emanates through you from God to others, reminding us that we must always be kind in a world that is so cruel at times. Ezra, I am so deeply proud of you right now. So deeply proud of you being here, and the more I am here in this space and hear stories about this community, the more I know this is the right home for you, and how excited I am to see the beginning of your career unfold in front of you. And the one thing I hope for is you just take us all along with you. I want to offer you a blessing right now before we continue with what is planned. May you always lead and guide with kindness. May you constantly mix the jovial with the substantive. May you continue to be our North Star in how to make the world a better place. May you always be true to yourself and to the Jewish people, because when you let your true self out, it glows with this radiant warmth that brings us all in and shows us a path towards wholeness. Amen.
So I also have a few words and something to present to Rabbi Ezra, so could I invite you to come up to the beamer? Thank you so much, Rabbi Baisley, for summing up a little bit of the essence of this person. We too were not surprised that Ezra chose Purim to be the time of his installation. A joyful but also thoughtful holiday to celebrate a moment of new beginning for a joyful and a thoughtful rabbi. Those of you who have children or who are parents in our Shorashim or religious school program, or even our family services, know that one of Rabbi Ezra's favorite teaching methods is to act out a story, frequently with the very substantial props, but especially hand puppets.
We love puppets.
But we notice that there's always one puppet that seems to be missing. So we want to remedy the situation by presenting you with this gift, which you may
Wonder
open
what
now.
it is.
You may
Wow.
Go ahead and open it. You can take it out and see what it is.
Oh my God.
It's a Rabbi Ezra puppet. It looks just like him. So
This is incredible. I love it. It really does. Did you draw on the facial hair yourself,
I
or is that like custom shading?
we'll discuss that afterwards. I don't think so. We hope that you use that puppet for a long, long time here
Oh, yeah.
in our community. And I don't think I'll be oversharing if I mention that tomorrow is your birthday.
Yeah.
Now, on the surface, it may not seem like a very important birthday. You know, it's not 40, it's not 65, it's not 120. True, may you live that long. But it is special in a different way. I can share that in our staff meetings here at CBI, whenever a member of our staff has a birthday, so we've kind of divided the work among ourselves. Rabbi Ezra's job is to get all the details of the place and the moment of birth and to cast the horoscope for the person involved. But my job is to figure out a good gematria for the year in question. Gematria, for those who don't know, is based on the fact that the letters of the Hebrew alphabet can also be used for counting. so that each letter has a numerical value. So, for example, Aleph is 1, Bet is 2, Gimel is 3. And that's why, for example, the number 18 is such a lucky number in Judaism, because the word for life is Chai, as in L'chaim, and it's made up of the letters Chet, which stands for 8, and Yud, which stands for 10, and so together they make 18, which is a very, very good number. And today was also Purim, a holiday in which we're commanded to be joyful, and even more especially to be joyful with wine. And the rabbis, of course, wanted to know how much wine should a person drink on Purim. But using gematria, using the equivalence between letters and words, they came up with a very interesting statement, that a person ought to drink enough wine on Purim in order that they cannot discern the difference between these two phrases that equal the same thing. One is, blessed be Mordechai, and the other, cursed be Haman. I leave it up to you to ponder why the rabbis found this correspondence, but in my mind it feels like a warning that sometimes good and evil are not so easily distinguished, and possibly a warning that when the tables are turned and the Mordechais are wielding the power, they can also sometimes act as badly as Haman. Michael David Lucas wrote last week in the foreword that a closer reading of the story calls us to reckon with thorny and morally uncomfortable questions about violence and power and revenge and the very nature of evil. And these questions are especially urgent right now for Jews, Americans, and anyone concerned about the line between right and wrong. But back to you. Tomorrow you will be 32.
Correct.
And in Gematria, that works out to Lamed, which stands for 30, and Bet, which stands for 2, which gives us the word Lev, which is the Hebrew word for heart. It also happens to be the case that the very last word of the Torah, Yisrael, ends with a Lamed, and the very first word of the Torah, Bereshit, begins with a Bet. And so when we finish reading the Torah on Simchas Torah with the word Yisrael and begin with Bereshit, the Lamed, and the Bet, the heart holds it together. So this is something from your students. We can hold it up. We love Rabbi Ezra. And they all, I think, have their thumbprints on all these many. I don't know about that. So, Rabbi Ezra, we hope that in this birthday year, this year of 32, your first year of many as a teacher of Torah and as an embodiment of Torah, that you may experience a lot of love from those of us here in Charlottesville who are so grateful for the gifts, as Rabbi Phil spoke, of your heart which you have brought to us, and that you'll continue to lead as a rabbi with your big heart as you grow in wisdom and experience. So now I want to invite up our staff and our President Charlotte, Rabbi Dan, and our Vice President Melissa, who want to offer you some words of blessing. So we want to read to you a poem by John O'Donohue called For Work. May the light of your soul bless your work with love and warmth of heart.
May you see in what you do the beauty of your soul.
May the sacredness of your work bring light and renewal to those who work with you and to those who see and receive your work.
May your work never exhaust you. May it release well springs of refreshment, inspiration, and excitement. May the day never be a burden.
May dawn find hope in your heart, approaching your new day with dreams and possibilities and promises.
May evening find you gracious and fulfilled. May you go into the night blessed, sheltered, and protected. May your soul calm, console, and renew you.
Now, as president of the Board of Directors of Congregation Beth Israel, I'm pleased to install Rabbi Ezra Leventhal as our new assistant rabbi. Mazel tov.
As we rise, let's sing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehecheyanu v'kiyamanu v'higianu lahazman hazeh. Now I'm going to ask everybody up here to take my talit and hold it up. And for Rabbi Phil and Rabbi Ezra to go underneath where Rabbi Baisley will bless Ezra with the priestly blessing. And I invite all of you to send your blessings forward in this way to Rabbi Ezra at this moment.
God bless you and keep you. Yair Adonai panav elecha v'yifunecha. May God's light shine down upon you, be gracious to you. May you always let that light shine out to others. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yisen lecha shalom. In every aspect of your pulpit and your rabbinate, may you always be blessed with the greatest gift God could give any of us, to you and those you care about, the gift of peace. Can we hear that?
Amen. Amen. So you may be seated, and we'll invite Rabbi Ezra to say a few words now.
Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. I do want to start these words by thanking my stylist, Sophie, from the third grade. If you're feeling envious of my Purim getup, I don't know if you can book with her. It's a little bit late in the game. She's quite talented. Oh my gosh. Wow, I feel so honored, so blessed. I don't know if there are words to really capture the enormity of what I'm feeling. I remember at one point when I was still working at Anshe Ameth with Phil, we were talking about what I wanted out of, when I was a big kid rabbi, when I was doing the real work. And he said to me, I thought that you were kind of more interested in the nonprofit side of things. And I said to him, I had a moment where I was thinking that because I wasn't sure that I would ever find a synagogue that would accept me for who I was. And thinking about that now, Anshe Emeth was the first place to, oh goodness, that feedback is, I don't want to do harm to you, this is not, help me out here, Tom. Wonderful. Perfect. Anshe Emeth was the first place that I really was able to feel that security and that warmth and that confidence that a community would be able to see me as their rabbi and welcome me with open arms. And if I could go back in time and tell that version of myself the kind of home that I would be finding here at CBI, I don't even know that I would believe it. I feel so enormously blessed to be here. So thank you to all of you for helping me find a place that felt like home so quickly. I also do want to say a quick thank you to all of my people who have come here tonight, either from out of town or, this is not their usual Friday night gig. Obviously, Rabbi Phil Baisley is down here from New Jersey. My best friend Kelty is up here from Durham. My good friends Rabbi and Cantor Tovlev are here. We are Rabbi first names here, so you're Cantor Zevi and Rabbi Ariel. You are in costume, so I feel it's a little bit fitting. I've got my good friends we kind of have a little collective of assistant pastors and whatnot in town. My friends, oh gosh, you've never committed to a name, so I'm going to call you what I think you should go by, Mother Caroline. And Bethany, I guess you're not ordained, but Reverend Pastor Bethany, great name. And Karen Mann as well from Sojourners is here. Thank you. Let's see. I've got some friends. Ben Lux Morgan, soon to be Rabbi, and his wife Sasha are here from Northern Virginia. And then I've also got some of my friends here locally in town right behind them. Thanks for showing up to synagogue on a Friday night. Sometimes you're here, and happy to have you here now. So I feel so beyond blessed right now. My heart is very, very full. So full, in fact, I think it could also fill up a puppet heart. So it's really apt. This is also very generous regarding my hair color. Thank you. Happy to be installed. Thank you.
So we'll begin to conclude the formal part of our service with Aleinu on page 586, and the custom is to rise. On 586, we will be in the middle of the page, the paragraph at the bottom. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המון עם, ואנחנו מודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך. We read together on page 589. Let the time not be distant, O God, when all shall turn to you in love, when corruption and evil shall give way to integrity and goodness, when superstition shall no longer enslave the mind, nor idolatry blind the eye. O may all created in your image become one in spirit and one in friendship, forever united in your service. Then shall your realm be established on earth, and the word of your prophet fulfilled. Adonai will reign forever and ever. Page 591. V'ne'emar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz bayom hahu yeh Adonai echad u'shemo echad. You may be seated. The Mourner's Kaddish is found on page 598. This week in our congregation, we are observing the yahrzeits of Patricia Bornstein, Gordon Carpenter, Regina Carlson, John Archibald Curry, Albert Fleitman, Esther Fox, David Gardner, Ellen Gross, Jeffrey Chazan, Edith Heisel, Herbert Lasser, Miriam Mattern, Alan Morris, Yaakov Naftali, Lorraine Pierce, Helen Rosenberg, Louis Rothberg, Max Joseph Samuels, Seymour Schechtman, Hannah Sorsher Jesse, Robin Judy Herman Stone, Janet Toplin, Carmi Weiner, Helen Graber Weiner, Pauline Litt, and we're still observing periods of mourning as Shiva or Shloshim for Clarice Morris. So at this time, we want to invite anyone who's observing a period of mourning or anyone who wishes to join the mourners to help us lead the Mourners Kaddish on page 598. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbi, Be'alma divrach chirutei, be'amlich malchutei, b'chayechon uvyomechon uvchaye v'chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imru, Yehi shmei Rabba mevorach leolam le'olmei almaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudusha, Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechemata, da'amiram be'alma v'imru, Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru, Oseh shalom b'mramav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. May their memories be a blessing. So following our concluding song, we invite you to file out into Omansky Hall. There should be somebody there with a couple of trays to hand out. We have wine or juice. We will make the blessing over, and then over the bread, and then you'll notice a birthday cake there, and we'll be able to sing a dairy-free birthday cake. I don't want to even say how hard your staff worked to find in all of Charlottesville the one dairy-free birthday cake. Okay? But we'll sing a happy birthday, and then we invite you to stay. I want to mention that Rabbi Ezra has concocted two special cocktails. One is called the Shushan Sour, and that is alcoholic. One is called the Hamantaschen Spritz, and that is non-alcoholic. And just please hang around. We would love to meet, I know I would like to meet so many of Rabbi Ezra's friends who are here today, and to hear some of your stories and hear about you, and to celebrate this just beautiful moment for Rabbi Ezra and for our congregation. So on page 625, we'll do Adon Olam to a possibly recognizable tune. Excuse me. Have mercy on the people, John. Have mercy. Adon Olam asher mal b'terem ka'etzir nivra le'et nasa b'chefzo azai melech shemo nivra v'acharei kichlot hakol hu yimloch nora v'hu haya v'hu hoveh v'hu yeh b'tikvar v'hu echad ve'en shein lehamshil lo lehachvira v'li reshit v'li tach v'lo ha'oz v'hamizra v'hu eli v'chai go'ali v'tzur havli b'yitzara v'hu nisi umanos li menat kosi b'yom Beyado afkid ruchi beiti sham beyai Adonai leave Elohira. Oh, today will merry, merry be. Oh, today will merry, merry be. Oh, today will merry Shabbat Shalom, good Shabbos, Chag Sameach.